Today, we are talking about best practices, and it's going to be a really interesting, fun chat. So don't forget to chime in. Now, you know who I am. I'm Pip, Seymour Digital Media. We focus on search engine optimization, and this is Greg.
Hey everyone, my name's Greg with Original 72 Creative, and we're a full service website graphic design and digital marketing firm in Vancouver.
And together, every Thursday, we come on and we talk about something geeky. So this week, it's a good one. It's a big one. It's important. We all know. I don't know if you guys saw my write up there. It says, "Do you own your own assets?" So this comes from a place of dealing with a company that didn't own their own assets. So we're gonna go over here, Greg. I have it somewhere. I have the wrong Trello board open. Um, Give me a second. Greg, say something.
Something.
Guys, he's always so good at this.
I think
The roll.
hopefully we won't be all over the place for this topic because I was thinking it might be a little bit broad because I have other things that we didn't discuss maybe to bring up
Oh,
as it may pertain to this topic.
if you're making it go off topic, my friend, because this is what I have, guys. This is the outline. It's old school versus new school. Um, old school, making sure your company owes everything. Funny stories, special cases, and I'm gonna swear, so cover your little one's ears if they're around. Special cases, and don't be a dick. Yeah, yeah. So let's say hi to our couple people before we get into it. Oh, we got Karen, we got Aaron, Mona. Yay, Mona. Hi, guys. Um, Now, have you guys ever run into this situation? You're going to work on a business. You just signed the contract and you need their assets. You need to get into their analytics. You need to get in to their Google My Business and their data studio if they have one, or their search console, and you can't get access and they don't know the passwords and somebody else created it. Not raise your hand, because I know we've all been there, right? We're all running around trying to figure this stuff out, and a lot of business owners don't own their own assets through no fault of their own. So first thing is old school versus new school. Greg, what are we talking about when I could talk about this forever, so chime in.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you mean by old school versus new school?
So
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
not like we talked a couple days ago. Old school versus new school. So back in the day when you started building websites, what, 20 years ago, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
Old school
yeah.
versus new school. So the new way to do things is the owner owns all their digital assets. That's like your tag. So they have access and admin access to Tag Manager, to their Google My Business, to their analytics, and they're an owner, right? So the old school way was companies did it for you and it sat under their account. You were one of many, right? So company, and we've seen this with hosting. So we've seen websites go away because the owner didn't purchase their domain or their hosting. So that's what I mean by old school versus new school. Like old school, they did it for you and it was under their control and jurisdiction.
It threw me off because I've never been old school.
Ah,
I've I've always done it the proper way, so which is what you're referring to as new school. So to me, it's just the right way to do it.
yeah, interesting, right? So we've come across companies that have done it the other way, and I get it. If you're a big business and you're managing many accounts, maybe that's a way you want to do it. But one of the big problems with like Google Analytics is if it's not under your account or if it's not your account, um, you can't move it because and even if you have full access to it, you can't move it. You have to delete and create a new one if you get a new website or go with a new web developer. So some of us think it's like a shady way to be, right? Like,
It is like holding the client hostage somewhat with their what should be their services. If you're setting them up, you need to set them up for the client on the client's behalf, not under your control completely. Where they, like, if the relationship goes bad or they decide that they've outgrown you maybe and need to go to someone else, they need to have access to everything that you've done to them. And like you said, old school people just set it up under their control and, give them whatever they need, but they don't have access to it all. And that's never been how I've done it.
It's not good. So the instance we're running into is that so we're doing something for a client and we have to go through this other company now, and the client actually has to pay their client's paying us to do it, and then they have to pay the other company because the other company is going to do it instead. So we give it to the other company, they do it, and then that company is charging the client. It is not ideal, and I just like seeing all these problems that happen when you don't own your own assets, because this is not the first time we've seen crazy stuff. It's this is common.
I can understand why people want to control it, right? Because you don't want to make it easy for the customer to leave you. But I've never been a fan of that. I've always done it set it up for the client. And even if a client decides to leave me for some reason, I make it as easy as possible for them to go away and be as nice as possible to them, thinking, they just typically relationships that I've had with customers, they've never gone sour. They've always been, oh, I have someone else that can do this and I'm going to move to them, not a reflection of anything that I've done for them. And so by making it, a pleasant move, when something goes sour on the other end,
Yeah.
they come back to me, and it happens all the time. But I have a pet peeve with one thing specifically, because I have dealt with more web stuff, Google Analytics accounts. I don't know how many times I've set up a Google Analytics account for a customer, which they have complete control over. Um, but they don't know. They don't, because a lot of clients, they can get in, but they don't realize, and then a new person comes into the picture, was like, oh, we're going to build you this new fancy site, and a new fancy site gets implemented, and those people just set up a new analytics account.
I find that weird.
I hate that.
Well,
It's like they have analytics,
and they're losing.
re-implement that. You have all of your history. So that's another thing I would definitely say. Best practice is make sure the customer knows that they've got their analytics, even to the point where if that happens again, remind them, oh, the new person set up a new analytics account. You should remove that, go back to this one, and you'll only have a very short amount of stats that you might miss because of when it was set up with the new one, but the history that you've had with your original analytics is way more important
Yeah.
than a couple of days here and there while the new one was in place.
Isn't that funny? Because it sounds like it might be a lazy thing, honestly, because it's, with websites, especially WordPress, the code can go in so many places, right? So it would take the developer a couple minutes to turn around and say, hey, we're going to do this. We know you already have analytics on your site. Can you get your other web developer to let us know where they put it? Or, I don't know. It just seems, yeah, I agree with you.
It's as simple as looking at the code and seeing what the tracking code is.
Greg, some people who build websites don't do code. We know this now. I know it sounds very strange.
They shouldn't be building websites then.
Well, right. I don't build websites anymore. So I think it's really interesting. Okay. So is that the pet peeve you wanted to bring up?
Well, that's one pet peeve. I'll bring up another if
Okay, yeah, go
if I
for it.
think of,
I got a couple.
I don't know, if I think of another, I'll definitely bring it up.
You guys chime in if you like. I know it might be hard to understand for some people, and I get that because how do you know if you own your own analytics, right? I'll tell you, and it might make sense, it might not. So in analytics, when you go into the admin section, you're going to have three columns, right? You're going to have an account. It's going to say account, property, and view. So the account needs to be in your name, not the property. The property can also be in your name, but you need the account in your name. For instance, if I'm a business and I own other businesses, my account would be Pip Seymour. My other business would be like dog walking, shoes, and those would all be properties, right? And then I'd have views. So just so you know, and you want admin access. Now, I was going to bring up, there is an important point, Greg, that you kind of touched on that we should mention, which is I understand the fear of not wanting to give clients the access. Like, I get it. I get it. You don't want to get, like, you don't want them to nuke everything that you've done, right? Like, there is a chance they can go into Google Analytics and set up a new view they can do so many different things.
Are your clients that smart?
No, but you never know. And so that makes people nervous. Um, yes, we got some comments. We got, can you define assets? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Greg, you want to go?
Well, I'm assuming you're referring to any assets that are created. So assets are any of your Google properties, your Google My Business, your Google Analytics, your
Google Ads.
pay-per-click, your payable, any of those things Pip's referring to as assets that, are used for the customer to get whatever, their stats or
So,
what have you.
yeah, so there's going to be your domain should be in your name, paid by with your credit card. Your hosting, also, and that should, I think, be in your name and your own hosting. Um, Now, a lot of companies do hosting for you, but you should have your own hosting account. Like, we work with a number of businesses, and we have access to their hosting, but yeah, it's not under our name. Now that being said, Shopify, I think they do the hosting for you. I think Square might do its own hosting. So depending on
I think the hosting really depends on your service offering because you could, in fact, be a hosting reseller.
mhm,
So
there's
if
that.
you are a hosting reseller, then it's a little bit different. The way I do it is I don't want to have anything to do with the hosting. I will assist customers in suggesting a host, and if that's the case and they choose to go with one, then I will set up the host for them
Hmm.
under their company name, their company email, all of their information, paid for with their credit card. And I'll usually have a fee, like if it takes me however long to get it all set up, I will just charge them
Yeah.
my hourly fee.
We do the same thing. And I know there are companies that do the hosting, but clients usually have access to that hosting. I have found, for instance, if I was a hosting reseller, which means I sell like HostGator because that's who we use, and then your website's on my overall hosting. Clients don't have the same kind of access that I would have as a company owner. So that's maybe a personal decision. Other assets we're talking about, so Google Tag Manager, Google Analytics, um, Google My Business, your Bing places, your
I mean, we're talking everything digital related. Your social channels,
yeah, in your
uh, have them set up with a specific email like social media at yourdomain.com, not an account with some random email that only the person doing your social media has access to.
yeah,
Like, and your buffer account or your
all your
Hootsuite account or whatever it is, all of it needs to be in the customers.
and so we set so here's the thing, we do set people up on Buffer, and it's in their name, but sometimes our clients don't know, but when they leave us, we'll be like, here are all your assets, and here are your logins. They might not use them ever again, but and I know plug or not plugins, I know passwords, kind of like plugins. No, I know passwords are really hard to manage, and I know all this can be really difficult and time consuming. One of the best ways to manage this stuff is to create one of those emails, like your business name marketing at gmail.com. And that is the access point. And then say you give access to people in your company. Um, then when they leave, you can change the password. Super easy and bang, done. They can't, get in any.
I feel like people forget also that a Google account can be your own email.
Mm,
Like it doesn't need to be something at gmail.com. Because I find also, I want another pet peeve. Here it is.
ooh,
I have a pet peeve when people own their own domain and have their own website, but they use a Gmail address, like their company name at gmail.com. It drives me nuts. You have domain email. Brand your website, brand your
well,
business.
hold on. If you have a Shopify account, technically, I don't think they create emails for you, right? You have to go and get an email from somewhere else. I think I'm not sure, but I need to check that.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that own their domain,
Yeah.
okay, and can have email at their domain name,
Hmm.
and they use something at gmail.com
Well, maybe they don't know how to
as their company email.
their Gmail.
What's that?
Maybe they don't know how to use the POP3 servers. Those are fun, right? Because there's a whole thing with pulling them through your Gmail. But yes, I can agree. I always think it looks more professional. What do you guys think? Do you think it looks more professional to have a business email? Like, do you care? I want to know if
It,
you care as a business owner.
there's no discussion. It is more professional.
Okay. But
Period.
would
End of story.
would it stop you from doing business with someone or make you for if you're there in marketing? Definitely.
It instantly gives me the feeling that they are not completely together or professional because they have just a Gmail, especially if they do have their own website, but they use a Gmail account as their business email.
Yeah. Karen saying email with Gmail is so much easier, so much easier. I love it. And you can actually use a CRM if you're using, you can use a CRM that sits on your Gmail as well.
I'm not saying not to use Gmail as your domain email. I'm specifically saying if you're using a Gmail email address
Mm-hmm.
as your company email, then stop that.
Yeah. Because
Don't do that.
you can create your own business email and use Gmail to utilize
Yes.
it. I mean, I use Gmail and all my emails go out as Pip at Seymour Digital Media.
Yes.
Lorraine is saying definitely using website Gmail or email, not Gmail, for branding. Yes, perfect. The funny thing here, Greg, is I'm getting the comments coming through my comments and reactions, like little window in Ecamm, but I'm not seeing them in Facebook. So
I don't see them in Facebook either, but I see them coming across the live.
oh, yeah. So super interesting. I like what's being thrown down here. So have you guys ever run across this stuff like where you either bought a service or you offer a service where you struggle with this, where you struggle with access and emails and logins and kind of hard stuff, right, Greg?
Yeah, I remember way long time ago when we first started doing lives. We had a larger panel, and one of the other panelists and myself thought of an additional service to add to our offerings, which was basically managed
Password.
um, passwords and accounts. Like, because we both found customers had no idea what their login
Mm.
or password was for their analytics. They didn't know what it was for their hosting. They didn't know what it was for where their domain was. So basically just a service that went through a company's assets, digital assets, and said, okay, this is where everything is. This is all of the information. These are the logins.
Price that service. How do you price it? Because some stuff like takes hours and eventually sometimes you actually can't get access. Like it's so far remove. I don't know. So I don't know how you develop. I think there's
You could price that service based on um, the number of services, right? So for each service you find is X.
okay. Interesting. I think there is value because I mean I think now let guys, you're marketers too. All the marketers in here who has come across this issue, and all the business owners in here who
Every new customer, pretty much, I ask, okay, I need all of who's your host? What's your FTP? Where's your domain? We need to change the DNS. What's a DNS? Like they have no idea. So for the majority of my sites that I create and set up for customers, they all get a document with
right.
your domain, when it expires, where it is,
Nice,
your
not
hosting, when it expires,
oh,
where your hosting is, your FTP information, your cPanel login, your hosting login. They get everything that I've set up for them. They get a document, and they're responsible to keep that document somewhere, and I keep it as well, so that if I go away or they decide to move, they have that information already. They don't even need to contact me.
right. I think that's super important. Karen saying hi guys, and hey guys, thanks so much for coming. By the way, we got a bunch of great people in here. So Karen, Daria, Aaron, Zilla, yes, Greg is so organized. I love that. Yeah, he's pretty organized. I'm pretty organized too. So in our contracts, we actually, because we need access, so a little different access than you, but similar. We need access to Tag Manager, Google My Business, analytics. We sometimes even need access to social accounts if we're doing the reporting. And one of the things we've run across recently was a client um, who just took us off their accounts. And we're like, well, we can't provide the reporting anymore. It's all broken, right? So, which is really interesting. So we make sure that people understand, and we'll help people get us the access, right? It's hard. Stuff's hard. This is the annoying parts of
Mhm.
marketing where you like try a password and eventually you want to like hit something beside your desk because you're angry because you can't access something. Or yeah, you guys know what I mean. Yeah, right. So I guess the conclusion of this is uh,
Are we at the don't be a dick part yet?
you're at the don't be a dick. Okay, here's covered. We do times. Um, so this is as a marketer, as a person who owns an agency, it is really important to give every owner access to their assets. People can move, business changes, we lose clients, we gain clients. It's a best common practice, right? And so we want to train other marketers, just like I know you guys want to train us um, to do the best things for all of us, so that we can all have access. We all. Do you know how many marketers have a bad name? And it's because a lot of people have been taken online, because things aren't explained to them, or somebody, I guess there are people out there that'll just take your money. But as a good marketer, as a white hat, you know access to your clients, let them own their assets, don't take it all on, as yeah.
We did briefly talk the other day about some special cases because there are some instances where setting up some of the Google properties, I am the primary owner, and then the client is also an owner, just not the primary owner, and they still do have full access over it. But because it's being set up by me, and they really just need full access to it, but I'm setting it up.
I think if you have that in your contract, that's fine, that it says you'll switch it over, right? Like, so then
And that's the part where I say, don't be a dick, because I recall, I don't know if Mona's still watching, she was earlier, but she went through something where she came to me because they were having an issue with their developer, and their developer was saying, you're going to need to set up new analytics and, you know, a bunch of things. And I was like, no, you don't need new analytics. He's just being a dick and, you know, removing the analytics that he put in for you and making you set it up again. You know, that property is yours and he's just being a jerk. He's making it hard for you to get him out of the picture.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Just these properties are yours. They're actually your business assets. That's why I call them digital assets, because they're literally things that Google is not giving you as a person, but you as a business owner, right? So, and we use these things every day and all day now. Like they are a part of our business. They're just like having a website, right? You can pay for, you know, some of it's free, which is cool. It can be taken away anytime. Guess what, guys? We're out of time. That was it. I don't know if we just spent the whole time complaining. Anyway, this is a big thing that comes up for us. It's out. Karen saying, same for us coaches. You know, it's the be respectful. You know, be respectful. Help your clients, even if, you know, even if sometimes that they're in the wrong or they're treating you poorly. Man, it's better just suck it up and like move on quick. Right?
There's too much time and emotion spent fighting to make it hard for a customer leave. Don't be spiteful. Just move on.
Quick.
Just give them their stuff. Move on to something better.
It's like, you know, some people love having garage sales and other people just want to get the stuff out of their house, so they put it on the street to give away and people just walk away with it. Be the person that gives this stuff away. You know, be the person that just, in my humble opinion. Anyway, Greg, and guys, if you have something to say, chime in. We always want to know. We love you guys. Greg, do you know what we're talking about next week?
I believe I did because I looked at it and I've maybe forgotten. We're talking about something with PPC. Ooh, extensions, I believe.
Oh, extensions, add extensions, guys. Okay. Oh, Karen saying sharing frustrations can be so productive. Yeah, you know, we can all grow together. You're right. I love it. Yes. Next week we're talking about
Add extensions.
Ad extensions. This is a segment of Google Ads. It is a little deeper dive than the usual. Google's got a lot of ad extensions. We're going to talk about all of them because some of them change, but it's going to be really exciting if you're interested in Google Ads, interested in learning about some of the internal things we do. That one's for you. So we'll see you guys next week.
Hey. And maybe we're going to see Phelan on that one?
Yeah, guys, we're going to bring Phelan in because he was sitting in the room and he was making comments. So we were like, yeah, come on and say that. Come on live. And so now he is. Anyway, we'll see you guys next week. We love you all. Thank you for taking the time to join us, and thank you for taking part in the conversation. Greg, don't get captured.
Make good choices.